Hello, guys. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. Hello, my brother. How are you? Can you please post my story as anonymous? I am a South African man who is aged 35. I used to be a music singer, even though I never made it big, but I do have some of my tracks that I went and I submitted to the SABC, even though those singles, they never got any airplay at all. When I saw that my music career was not working at all, I then started working at this other retail shop. Whilst I was working at that retail shop, I then thought of an idea. Since I was now having a little bit of a salary, I then said to myself, it is far much better that I try to renovate my mom's house, since my mom, she was a single mom, and as for me, I never got the opportunity to meet my father, since my father was someone who never cared for my mom. So I just wanted to do my mom good. I spoke with my mom and I told her that there was this other project that I wanted to do for her. My mom was really excited, but she was worried at the same time. She said, my son, I know that you are very young, and I had already gotten one kid with my baby mama. Even though our relationship was not great at all, she only loved me when I'll be having a new girlfriend, and after I would have dumped my new girlfriend, then she would tell me that she does not love me at all. She usually used to hang around those other foreign guys, and whenever her foreign guys will hurt her, that was when she would come to me. She didn't like me like that. So my mom said that I think that you need to use this money maybe to better your education, or just try to start a small business. I said, what kind of a business am I going to start? Because the money that I am earning, it is not that great. So my mom then agreed. We then hired some guys who were from Zim, who were making some cement bricks for the house that I wanted to build for my mom. So whenever those guys would come to make those cement bricks, at weekends when I'll be at home, not at work, sometimes I would help them, or sometimes I'll just buy my beers, then I'll sit with them whilst we will be having a conversation as they'll be doing their job. I then started asking them about a lot of questions. You know that all of us men, we just want to be very powerful in bed. That is how the conversation started, even though my mom was a very powerful Christian and she encouraged us to pray almost each and every day. But I then started having that conversation and I said that, can you please try to find something for me so that when I'll be with a woman in bed, I do not want to embarrass myself. I don't know if it was because of the beers that I was always drinking that were making me not to be able to perform, because I had been with this other girl who had complained that when she came over to our house, she thought that she was going to have a great time, but she was really disappointed in my weakness. Yes, that is what she said. She said, I was disappointed in your weakness, so I cannot date you anymore. So I can say that when she said that I am disappointed in your weakness, it damaged my ego, and I just wanted to make sure that the next time around that I was going to be with her, I was going to show her who was the real boss. So we kept on speaking with that guy, those guys that were from Zim. Then they told me a lot of remedies. The first remedy that they told me, it was about a remedy whereby you take the condensed milk, then you mix with bananas, then you drink it. Yes, when I used it, it was really powerful. Then the one for aloe vera, of drinking aloe vera, on me it didn't work that great. So each and every time when I would have used those herbs, I used to update them and I would say, you see that one that you saw me entering with when I was coming back from work, yo, that girl, she even complained because throughout the night I never gave her any rest. The more that we discussed, the more that I got interested in the world of magic, even though at that time I didn't know that some of the things that I was getting interested into, it was nothing but black magic. When those guys had finished working at our house, I can say that I was totally like into this thing of researching how to become powerful, how to make money very quickly. And in town, since I was someone who was always in town, I would walk around taking those other papers which are written pennies management and small boys. So I would go around, then I would confirm. But I was so suspicious of those guys, because usually when I would go there to get those small boys, then they would charge me a lot of money. But on those printed papers, they act as if this thing, it is for free. So I became so suspicious, and I didn't want to get really close to them. I started to go online, especially on Facebook. I was now searching for traditional healers who were from my country, knowing that it's not a lot of them that are scammers. I then found out that there was this other local traditional healer who was in our community, but not like in our kasi. He was staying in another location. So I then traveled to his location, and when I got at his place, he was someone that was very humble. You would never expect that he had so much powers. Even his house, it was not that flashy. He didn't even have a car, but he said that he was willing to help me. But for him to help me, he wanted me to go to his village where he comes from, and in that village, that is where he does that thing, we call it in our country Ukuthwasa. So I was not going there for the initiation to become a traditional healer. I was just going there so that I can get some charms, so that I can start making money, even though I didn't know where this money was coming from. So I went there to his village. When I arrived in his village, my brother, at his homestead, I was really scared at everything that I saw, because a lot of people there were running mad. This man, what he was doing is that he can meet you in town, and he will tell you that your ancestors, they have been waiting, so they want you to go to his homestead so that they can go through that initiation process. And once you have gone to his village, that is when he would make you to drink some herbs. And after drinking those herbs, if you fail to pay him in time, or if your relatives fail to pay him in time, then you can start losing your mind. It was more like this man, he was just hijacking people, and after that, forcing their relatives to pay. And once you have known that your relative is running mad at a certain village, you are going to pay. And this man, he was charging a lot of money. Usually he would charge you 2 cows. These were the cows that you would be using as the food when you would be at his homestead, because some of them, they would stay at his homestead for 2 years, even some of them for 3 years. So he would charge for the food, then he was charging for the rent. This is before the money that he would charge for the initiation processes, and it was quite a lot of money. As for me, he said that our thing was only going to become a 1 week thing, since I needed to return back to work. This man, each and every night, he would wake me up and he would say that, let us go into the forest. So the first night when I went with him into the forest, I just marked the area where he had taken me to. I then saw that this was no forest, but it was a local graveyard. What were we doing in that graveyard? I could not even understand. And everything that was scary that I had seen at his homestead made me not to question him, because it was almost everyone that it came for the initiation ceremony was now running mad for questioning the process where he leads people to become traditional healers. He is more like a dictator instead of listening to other people. So I just say that for me to get what I want here, I need to keep quiet. So on the final day of my initiation, so that I can start making money, that was when he went with me again into the forest. He thought that maybe I didn't recognize that this area that we were standing in, it was a graveyard, but I had gone there in the afternoon, and I knew exactly where we were, even though we were standing in a thick bush, surrounded by thick bushes. So he didn't want me to see the graves that were on the other side of the bushes. He then said that for me to receive my money, all that I needed to do was to call either my wife's name or my child's name. I said, why do I need to call them? He then said that since these are like my next of kin, if anything is going to happen to me, then they are the ones that are going to benefit if I die on that night. I got really scared, my brother. At the end of the day, when he kept on pressing me and telling me that I need to call my wife by her name and her surname, and calling my child by my child's name and by my child's surname, I got so really scared and I lied. I then gave him a wrong name which I said belonged to my wife, and I gave him the first surname that came into my mind, as well as for my child. I never gave him my child's real name. I just lied to him. He kept on doing the incantations, but no spirit appeared as he had promised me. He said that there was a spirit that was going to come so that we can begin with the process. When he had seen that there was no spirit that came, it was really quiet, like those, it was really quiet, and there was no one that, it was really quiet, and you could not even hear a sound. Usually at night there is a sound that you can hear, but on that night there was no sound. After that, when he saw that there was no spirit that had appeared, he was disappointed. He then said that he wanted to return me back my money, but I was even afraid of admitting. He said that he wanted to return back the money that he had taken from me, but I was really scared of taking his money. I then said that, no, it is okay, uncle. You do not have to give me the money. Maybe the spirit is going to appear to me one day. My brother, it has been so many years since I went to that men's village for the initiation ceremony. And after I had returned back to work, I then said, God, this thing that I had tried to do, I do not ever want to do it again. When I arrived back home, it was late at night. I dropped off from the taxi at my baby mama's house, and I asked her and I told her that I just want to see her. When she went outside of her house with my baby, the first thing that I did is that I just hugged her and I hugged my baby. She was even confused and she said, are you even drunk? Or have you gone mad? But what she didn't understand in that moment is that I was even regretting all the things that I wanted to do, because if I had called her name and if I had called my child's name, maybe they were going to appear in that graveyard, maybe they were going to die. So I just hugged them both and I told her that since she was my baby mama, there was always space for her in my heart. And when I looked at my child, there was deep pain. It was like there was someone that was stabbing me. It was like there was someone who was stabbing me in the heart. The pain was just too much. My brother, when I returned back to my place, I then started continuing with saving money so that I can build a good house for my mother. It is not a fancy house, but at least I managed to do it with the money that I had earned, the money that I worked hard for. This story happened several years ago, and whenever I see someone posting saying that they know how to do these money making rituals, I do not even want to read the post, even if it is on Facebook or wherever on social media, because I know the consequences.